It's 5 to noon, and friend, we got some talking to do. Some reminiscing, if you will. And who knows what'll happen, but what I do know is that I got a bullet and a blank. This week on Schedule for Launch, join me, Zach Walsh, as I welcome back Mo Poplar to catch up and talk about his Western card tabletop role-playing game, Bullet and a Blank. This game is incredibly fun and fast to set up, so come and see what's in store. We talk about Westerns, catch up on life, and upcoming projects. Welcome to Schedule for Launch, a podcast to discover the projects that you may have missed. This week, I am super excited to be welcoming back somebody who hasn't been on the show in quite some time now. Mo, thank you for coming back on. And audience, you've missed like half an hour of amazing conversation of Mo and I just catching up. So we decided we should probably hit record.
Hey, Zach, how you doing? Thanks for having me back.
It's been great. Once again, thank you so much for coming on. Fans who have listened to the show a while back will remember Mo from the Shibuya Nights episode. I know that there are a number of people who have talked to me about this. A number of people who I've told that they can reach out to you. I don't know if they actually have, but you told me that is always an option.
Absolutely.
So I just wanted to state that again.
Yeah, it's been a kind of a ride, just kind of ginning up attention for the game. Like in this, are we open? Should we stay home environment? But I've gotten contacted by a few dozen people. Nobody has said they have been from the podcast, but I've also forgotten to ask. A lot of people have kind of heard about me because they saw the game in stores or at conventions that are now opening. A few people I have met at game stores doing demos. And I don't know if you guys had our free RPG day, but for free RPG day in Southern California, about 4 stores had copies of Shibuya Nights Quick Start to hand out. And so, I got some contacts about that, and people saying, oh, this is really cool. And, what do I get if I actually get the book? And, that's the same quick start that's available on drive-through. That's the same disc quick start that's available on itch. And, it's like, the game is awesome. Feel free to download it and play it. And, if you want the maps, if you want more kind of background on the city and all this other stuff, go ahead and get the book. If you want to support a not so starving game designer, go ahead and get the book.
Actually, Free RPG Day was one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because as not really a designer, it's a weird hat to put on right now after having put out a small game. What exactly does that entail? Because I've never really participated in it in any shape or form. We have it here, but I'm always busy. So
I actually just heard about it a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure when this is going to go out, but Free RPG Day was Saturday, June. I don't know. What's today? Saturday.
Today's the 26th.
So it was Saturday, June 25th. And
it was yesterday.
Yes.
Holy crap. Okay.
And I heard about it toward the beginning of June, and I reached out to a couple of my friendly local game stores who also were not on the Free RPG Day wagon, and this may be the first year it's happened. I'm a big fan of Free Comic Book Day. Me and my kid, we go and we figure out like what's kid appropriate for him and what looks awesome for me that I haven't read that looks interesting. So, I went and checked. I went and I handed out the quick start to a couple stores that carry my books. I also went to go see, what else is out there? And there were a couple of adventures from D&D 5e There was,
Yep.
I think the prettiest thing out there was the Root Quick Start, which was printed
Oh,
up.
I love Root.
And, Root, man, such an evocative game. I
Yep.
really dig a lot of what they're doing. And the design is just kind of, the game design and the layout really support,
Hmm.
you playing these woodland creatures that, you know, might be nice, might not. And I actually haven't read my copy of Root yet, but I've played with the Quick Start twice now, and just yeah, it's a game you definitely want to see. Well, what else is out there? Um, and the Quick Start really supports it. So having the printout was nice. Uh, there were a couple of games that were well, they were marketed as games, but they were folders for school with
Okay.
pretty pictures on them.
Oh.
And if you opened them up, they had dice tables, but there was no discussion of how to create characters or what.
Mm.
Um, Maybe not games, but cool, pretty if you like pictures. And there were a couple of smaller games. I feel bad, like a bad person. I can't remember them off the top of my head. Supporting all small games. So I'm really curious to see next year if this is something that takes off or if it's something that you know seemed like a good idea but fades away. I know that it was great.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of clicks on the site, um, and I've gotten a couple of emails with people um, who just seem really enthusiastic about my quick start. So
Hmm.
that's exciting.
It is. I do know that one of the things that was given away here was I think it was an encounter for Pathfinder 2e
Yes.
that people were really excited about, and it looked really cool. Actually, there was this really, it was like just a really cool image on the front of it. I knew that was coming out, but other than that, I didn't know too much about what was being given out for Free RPG Day. And maybe it is the first year. I'm not exactly sure.
I'm looking forward to see if something happens next year. And like, I think for the indie designer who has a little bit of a marketing budget, it's an opportunity to really get out there. And, you know, I
Hmm.
think next year I might just do, you know, split the difference between the folders and the guides and, just hand out a 3x5 card with a pretty picture on it and, a scan code. Click this and it'll take you to the site. And, inshallah, we'll see.
That's perfect. Uh, Mo, we totally missed one of the more important questions for people who don't know you and haven't heard you on the show before. Can you tell the audience who you are and a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a filmmaker turned game designer who dabbles in podcasts these days. Um, and I designed a game called Shibuya Nights that is a anime styled Forged in the Dark game. Um, if you don't know games, that might sound like a mouthful, but it is anime styled, and you get up to hijinks and adventure while trying to maintain your reputation out in the world and grow it because the more reputation you have, the more influence you have in the city. And so, Forged in the Dark is an amazing little system that really
Yep.
puts the fiction first and puts a mechanical component to what do you do when you're not out gallivanting to save people or to retrieve lost or stolen items or to look good causing a distraction. And the mechanics behind that are pretty cool. These are all based off of John Harper's Blades in the Dark game,
Yep.
which where you play a scoundrel and you murder and you kill and you pimp and you drug deal and you seance your way into power in the city or death in the gutter. Um, I decided to make something that was a lot more family friendly, kid friendly. So you get up to anime style mischief. playing hustlers and mages and pirates and martial arts savants and warriors. Um, if your kid picked up this book, you wouldn't have to answer too many hard questions. That's the goal of it. I was able to find a amazing map designer.
Yeah.
Oh, what's her name? Jay. I should know this. I wasn't ready for this test, but yeah, I have some fantastic maps in there, and it's available hardcover and PDF download on at most conventions through Indie Press
Mhm.
Revolution, and also at many friendly local game stores, and also at Drive Through RPG.
Folks there who may have recognized the term Blades in the Dark may know that one because it is being adapted into a TV series
That's
that
right.
people are very excited. I'm very excited about that, especially with how not great some of the tabletop role playing game adaptations have been.
You know, I don't. I'm that.
Not to hit on them because people do like them,
Some of them
but
are good, some of them are not good, but I don't know if that's what they're meant for. I think a lot of
mhm.
magic happens at the table, and you definitely lose something when you try to um, manufacture or can that down the road. I think Blades in the Dark is a very evocative concept with its ghost punk setting, and
Yep.
yeah, I think they have an opportunity to do some awesome stuff.
It's certainly going to be an interesting place to play in. One of the things that we're on here to discuss, though, Mo, is a new game that you're working on that I think I actually mentioned in an episode very recently, just to thank you for sending it to me and giving me a chance to play with it. And it's a game I've been absolutely loving, and that is a Western card-based RPG called Bullet into Blank. Can you tell us a little bit about what this game is?
Bullet in a Blank is a great little game. I say little game. It plays in 20 to 40 minutes, and it is a card-based RPG. So you draw cards that propose questions that help you develop your character and determine their outcomes, we might say. Um, it's based on Alex Roberts' For the Queen, and I love For the Queen. It's such an evocative storytelling game where you draw cards. You don't even start with a character. You draw cards, and those cards have you answer questions and have people ask you questions at the table that they elicit a character at the table. And, at the end of the game, you have to determine whether or not you're going to save the queen, who is this very passive aggressive person who has treated you well, but has also treated you poorly and very much put you in a
Mhm.
codependent state. you know, the queen is pretty awful person. I took a lot of those mechanics and I made Bullet in the Blank, where you play a group of desperados who probably have had too much to drink and found yourself in the middle of the street with some macho guy therapy, pointing guns at each other, trying to get down to whether or not you're going to let your friend live or die. So, the theme of the game is, our friendship has come to the end of a dusty road. It's 5 to noon. We have our hands on a gun. But before I shoot you, I have a few questions. Um, similar to For the Queen, you draw cards and they elicit questions, and each player um, they accuse another player of doing something good or bad. Uh, you took care of my brother, and that's why I'm I've ridden with you and put up with your stuff. You took my portion of that last holdup, and that's why uh, I want to shoot you today. And For the Queen, can get to some really profound emotions. And Bullet in a Blank is really supposed to evoke trash talking and
Yep.
ribbing and raucous behavior. I say it's a game that could be improved with a cocktail.
Yeah. 100%. I totally get that. I think some of my favorite cards are like, I'm glad we met because. And it's just like, in this situation, that's such a weird statement to make, but it also makes sense.
I mean, it's I don't know. Maybe I've just gotten to an age or I have a storied past, but you got friends that you got more history with than you got future.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
And so, sometimes you get to a point where you want to almost weigh out, whether or not these people aren't like family, who you're going to see in America at Thanksgiving, one way or another. But yeah, this is that weighing of, whether or not the good times were worth the bad times. In this game,
Yeah.
there's a high noon card that is hidden somewhere in the deck. And so you're going to draw these questions that evoke responses in a Westernly way. And each character has a bullet card and a blank card. And when the high noon card shows up in the deck, you have to determine what players at the table you're going to shoot and what player at the table you're going to let live. And so what tends to happen is, you don't show up with a character, but as the questions come up, people tend to lean into being the heel or the hero. And, you don't lose if you get shot, but you kind of win if you have fun leaning into the kind of character that just comes up on the cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of my favorite cards is, I know why your family didn't want you. And it's just really kind of
Oof.
this deep kind of it's a Western notion, like in the West, there were all of these mostly going from town to town, and they were wayward, and some of them were honest, but many of them were able to get away with things because folks might give them the benefit of the doubt in the next town, and they started on that road for a reason, and sometimes your friends are
Yeah.
the people who know the secrets you kept, the reason you left, and yeah, to me, it's questions like that um, you should not take seriously playing this game, but can create very good characters. I sometimes feel like I
Yeah.
need when I'm talking about this game, I have to reaffirm it's just a game.
Yeah. I feel like as we're talking about it a little bit more, I could see how somebody might take that to heart,
Yep.
depending on their history, but also depending on the kind of character you're playing, that
Yeah,
card
yeah,
has
yeah.
totally
And
different
you you
meanings.
you have an opportunity to kind of evoke the character, you know, and you have an opportunity to kind of bring this thing out on the table. And, people with the next cards they draw, they can lean into it or lean away from it. So it really,
Yeah.
there's a level of consent to it all. It doesn't have to get weird.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. You actually straight up put an X card
Right,
right into
right.
this for that reason, which I'm always appreciative to see safety tools built right into the game. So I think it says tap this if it gets weird or uncomfortable, then draw
There
a
it
new
is.
card. So
Like there there are illusions that, could kind of be about your found family kind of double dealing you in a heist. Some people might want to make it sexual, and if that's not the kind of party, the X card is out there just to say that was clever, but let's not make that part of our story.
Yeah. So one of the things we actually talked about a little bit before getting into hitting the record button was the way that this game kind of
Hmm.
passively generates tension. And for me, it's like seeing that deck get smaller and knowing that the high noon card is coming up. But also, I've only ever played it two
Yeah.
person. This game supports up to 6. And that's a whole different type of tension. So, what was some of your perspectives and thoughts while designing the game in this way?
I honestly can't tell you that I had any brilliant insight other than, me and a buddy played not our first game of For the Queen, and we had to talk about, you know, kind of almost skinning this and changing, like introducing and evoking new moods. And
Hmm.
I built the deck, and I played with my wife, who unfortunately gets the brunt of these things sometimes. And hey, honey, listen, tell me what you think about this. Um, but she's not a gamer, but she's very patient. But a very different thing happens with two players, where you have one person who is the brunt of what all these cards evoke, and then you determine whether or not that person, you're going to kill them or you're going to let them live. And again, this is just a game. Um, with three people, each player has these two options to kill somebody and to let someone live. So you have somebody who will probably lean into the heal. And if everybody leans into the heal and everybody says, yeah, I was that bad person, um, you then have a problem, because when the game ends, you only have one bullet and you have to figure out who's most deserving. Or if everybody's being very nice and kind, you can only save one person, and then in a 4 to 6 player game, you still only have these two cards. So I've seen in a 4 player game where one person gets shot by 3 people, you know, and one person doesn't get anybody's attention because everybody's like, well, you're a scoundrel, but you're not as bad as this person who did something to my horse one day, you know. So yeah, it's a different game, depending on how many people you have in the game. It's a very different 2 person, 3 person, or 4 player game. And it all comes in a little box of cards.
Yeah, like I said, I keep this one on my kitchen table, like my dining table. So we're waiting for something to cook. We just bust it out, have a couple laughs, and then keep on going with dinner.
Nice.
Like it's so nice and simple, and it's easy to set up. I don't know. I really like it. It's especially if you're somebody who likes For the Queen already. This is
Hmm.
like it's similar, but it's different enough where it doesn't feel like you're playing the same game, which is
Right.
so difficult to do when you're doing these deck games. I've played other hacks of For the Queen that feel like For the Queen with different questions.
Right. It's a little samey. To me, I leaned into this and absolutely said this should be a game for non gamers. If you like games and if you like gaming, you could easily take this to a house party where nobody's ever played a role playing game. You can break it out, put it on a table. It teaches you how to play. In the first 15 cards, reads out all the instructions, tells you exactly how to do it, and just about anybody can jump in and play. Um,
Yeah.
and it's fun. It's a little lighthearted, and I think play it in a place where it's okay if things get a little loud. Um, I actually designed this game. Oh wow, what 3.5 years ago, and I took it to Metatopia, a game design convention in New Jersey, and it was really funny because we had a table of 3 players, and in the first game, things got so loud and people were laughing so hard. People came from, I mean, it was problematic because people were coming from other play tests to kind of see, well, what are you guys doing over here? Um, and the table grew to about 6 players, and it was just, fast and furious. It was great because I was able to kind of step away. I think a game, the true test of a game is if people can play it when the designer's not around. I was able to step away and, I had an extra deck and somebody just took it to another table and set up a whole nother, table of it. And I felt like, wow, I think I got a gold mine on my hands. And I was like, I should kickstart this in 2020. And um, then stuff happened. And I was like, I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody's going to get in the room to actually play this. So
Hmm.
I'm finally dusting it off.
And I'm glad you did. And we discussed it before. This is a game that definitely benefits from being played in person.
I have looked at a couple. I've looked at a couple online randomizer apps. I've looked at a couple. I've looked at Roll20. I've looked at a couple of scenarios, and For the Queen plays fine on Roll20. I think it is just a much more powerful experience in person, and
Yeah.
I think with the gun cards, the bullet and the blank cards, you just have one more level of complexity that I have to figure out if it's worth climbing the mountain to build this, to be foolproof on Roll20 to actually get out in the world.
Yeah.
So
there's a certain physicality to seeing those bullet and blank cards just sitting in front of somebody, waiting to see which, because you don't know which one they're going to push forward, but you're going to get one of them. So,
and with more than with 3 or more players, you have the scenario where, okay, you're pointing one gun at someone, but nobody knows which one is the gun, and
yeah.
You said tension. I think I think it creates a tension that's fun when
Yes, that's what I mean by tension.
When you're pointing your card at someone and they don't know which one it is, and they're thinking about all the things you said about them and all the things that they said about you, and they can figure out if they're gonna kill you because you're probably gonna kill them, or if you're gonna not kill you because you might have stole the money but you were actually a good friend. And all of these different scenarios come up in the randomness of the cards.
Yeah.
And again, I can't take credit for designing that, but it's an amazing design.
I think it is too. It creates a lot of fun, a lot of drama in a very simple and fast way.
Thank you. I agree, but I'm glad it's actually reading.
No, I got it right off the bat as soon as I saw the bullet and blank cards. I was like, these are gonna be fun to see what they do.
The only challenge I've had playing this game with folks is in the playtest is there's a certain point where I have to wonder if people really know a lot about the Western genre. And
I was going to bring that up
because
we had talked about that a little bit.
And I've added a lot of scaffolding to kind of almost suggest you can play it this way, you can play it that way. Here are some examples of things that outlaws in the West might be up to. Horse stealing, bank robbing, family wrecking, just kind of fist fighting. And I literally had to, at a certain point, create a list when someone was playing the game. And like, I just realized they were actually stumped, and unfortunately or fortunately, I'm of an age that like I have seen all the Sergio Leone films. I have seen
Hmm.
so many of the old Clint Eastwood films, and the John Ford films, and Seven Samurai and Magnificent Seven. What, done twice, three times over. I love this
Yeah.
milieu, but yeah, I don't know that it is necessarily a touchstone in the modern age that it was when I was growing up.
For me, the big thing with it is I love those environments and settings, deserts and frontier. I really like that. Tundras too, because, it's the desert but ice.
Hmm.
So for me, getting to see those environments played with is what excites me. And I tend to look for media that has that. I mean, there are so many great, not franchises, films. Recently, we had actually talked about the Red Dead.
Hmm.
Red Dead is like the closest thing to really modern that we have right now, outside of some indie projects.
Right. But even it's a zombie game, isn't it?
No, no, no. That's another one. They have a zombie expansion. It's a Wild West
Oh,
story. It's
okay.
like a bounty
Okay.
hunting story. So it's very good. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I play Super Smash Bros with my kid. And that's probably the extent of I try not to get beat up by him, and I know one day he's going to start playing these 300-hour games, and I will lose him to the console.
Mm.
But yeah, Red Dead Redemption is a touchstone that I wasn't even thinking about, but I think the people who like that game would love to play Bullet in the Blank.
Yes, 100%. And like I think that's kind of where I pulled from, was because in certain parts of the game you'll get into these shootout duels and you could talk a little smack with your opponent sometimes. Sometimes it's just a cutscene. But like I was just like, "Oh yeah, this is that. It's that over a little bit of a longer format."
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm hoping to do a different Kickstarter for a friend of mine who has a kids dinosaur game in August
Oh
of this
yeah.
year. Yeah, it's a Switchosaurus. I don't know if you're I don't know if you're my target parent market. Who wants your kid to uh, get into memory games and uh, get into dinosaurs and to watch little kids say big dinosaur words that don't exist as you put uh, the Stegosaurus tail on the pteranodon's head, and so it's a stegoronodon. But that's part of the fun of Switchosaurus. So I'm probably gonna
I'm
be.
going to throw one back at you there, Mo,
Uh oh, what you got?
because I love dinosaurs and I'm
What?
also an educator. So
What?
I'm very excited about Switchosaurus.
I might have to put some Switchosaurus in the mail. But yeah, I think we're gonna do that in August for the beginning of school. My buddy has,
Mhm.
I helped him design some of it. Probably helped more with the printing and layout, like getting art. I was kind of more of an art director. He had a very clear vision. Um, and I was able to say, like, these are kind of game elements that could work at the 3 to 10-year-old range. But
Yeah.
yeah, he ended up ordering 500 units from a company in China to sell for Christmas last year, and they showed up at his house on Boxing Day. So
Ooh, that sucks.
Yeah, so he had a vendor lined up, and um, yeah, I'm gonna see if we can get that out in the world. We have found some local printers in case people really like it, and we have to make more so that we don't have to put them on another boat from China. Um, but yeah, after that, I'm going to be trying to do Bullet in the Blank and get it out to the world.
That's actually something that I wanted to bring up because when we talked about Shibuya Nights, it was kind of like this thing that you had put so much time and effort in. You said that you're going to be working on some smaller projects, which is great. But you've kind of even talked to you because that was probably almost half a year to a year ago at this
Yeah, I
point.
think it might have been a year ago.
It would have been close to that. But you've kind of grown more so into this. You've really grown to this game designer and like helping get people set up for success in those fields and testing, and like you're putting in the work. That's for sure. And I just
Thanks,
think that
man.
like no problem. I really enjoy the stuff that you do. But I think that even just people can go back from this episode and listen to the Shibuya Nights episode and listen to the change that's happened in a year, half a year.
Hmm.
It's really cool to me.
It's funny. I've been listening to your podcast, and one of the questions you ask people at the end is, "What advice would you give to new designers?" And of course, after my episode went out, I came up with the perfect answer. you know, and
I think I remember this.
I think game design today is a lot of kit bashing. You know, it's
Yep.
most people are really taking a little bit from here and a little bit from there, and you add a little your special sauce, and that is to me setting, um, and you build some, you know, culture that hopefully doesn't step on anybody's toes, and yeah, you have a game. You then play test it to make sure everybody's seeing the vision that you saw, and if you go see if people actually want to play that game. And, it's no
Yeah.
harm or no foul if it's something that you love to do. There are plenty of people who work really hard building homebrew settings for lots of games. And, this is the thing that they put their whole heart into. And that's kind of what game design is. Um, so I'd like to think I've enabled a couple people. I have a design partner on a project called Hold Fast Outpost. Sorry, Hold Fast Station.
Hmm.
That
Okay.
is very different from Shibuya Nights. And, me and Michael Lowe, we, built an amazing little game. And, our main design goal was this is for people who want to learn how to GM, and yeah, we made a very cool little game and actually figured out how to get some money for it. So, it'll be coming out along with the Stone Top game that was kickstarted, I
Yeah.
want to say in 2021, maybe? Time is just slipping.
I remember seeing advertisements for Stone Top. It was in 2021.
Yeah.
I just remember people being very excited about
Yeah.
Stone Top.
So if you back to the Kickstarter Stone Top, the Stone Top Kickstarter, you're gonna also get a copy of Holdfast Station, which is the same kind of low fantasy game that Stone Top was. That really had kind of, instead of us going out to conquer, we're protecting home. It has that exact same feel,
Hmm.
but it's set in space, and
Oh,
so instead of, you know, protecting and defending your medieval town, you're protecting and defending the mine that you work at. And so you're a blue collar person. You're not the thing that heroes are made of, but you have an opportunity to save your people. And yeah, like I remember when we play tested it for the publisher, he was like, "This is very different than Stonetop, but it absolutely gets you to the same feels, you know." And
Hmm.
Michael is a teacher, and I have been a teacher, and you know, we have both played in a lot of bad games, by very famous systems, and
Yep.
I think most GMs start off in a place where they're going to have a lot of improvement in their future. So we designed a game that if you said I want to get better at GMing, you can go here to Holdfast Station, and you can absolutely it walks you through it. It holds your hand, and you're going to have a good game. And then you can have a better
Yeah.
game. But it starts you off from good as opposed to if you just open the monster manual in D&D, anything could happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, level ones, here's a mind flayer.
Right. I like the picture.
I've played in those styles of game before. I have. Level threes versus mind flayers. Not a good call.
So, we I think we're really excited about that, and you know, Michael, I think was a guy who was designing games and not necessarily putting them out in the world when we met, and
Yeah.
now he's like he's got a whole game design business, and I'm so
Hmm.
proud of him,
He does.
And
Yeah.
so maybe that's what you're talking about with me kind of being kind of a bit of a coach and a facilitator. Um, my buddy with the dinosaur card game, totally different guy, but I had been through the stomach twisting stress of dealing with some of this stuff, and I was able to kind of hold his
Hmm.
hand and give him some advice and like remind him, you know, it's done when it's done,
Yep.
because I think the thing every young game designer wants to do is I want to get it out, and it's like relax. See if you sleep on it, if anything else comes to you.
See, it's funny because I get to talk to a lot of creators, and it is that question of what advice do you have that comes up in basically every episode. And a lot of the younger designers will say, get something out so that you can get through your nerves. And then a lot of my
Yeah,
more like veteran designers who come onto the show will be like, take your time. Nobody's rushing. Like, make sure you're happy with it. Make sure it does what you want. And I think that's to me, it's so interesting that there's like this very kind of clear divide amongst creators. And that could just be personality types or design philosophies. And I'm not sure what it is, but both can be good.
I think it's experience, and I think they're different types of people. They're the people who let perfect be the enemy of good, and they never ship because they got one more thing to fix. And then they're the people
Yep.
who, um, they haven't even checked their pagination, and they send it to the printer, and inevitably they feel successful until a friend picks it up and says, that 25 comes before 15, and suddenly,
Oof.
and I've seen this book, fortunately it wasn't mine, but yeah, I think right back to what do you call it? Right back to free RPG day. I think that the splitting the difference going down the middle, I am suddenly becoming a fan of the quick start.
Yep.
And it's like, can you sum up your game in 15 pages? You know, And, most young game designers are going to scream and kick and say, no, 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 it is an opus. And that may be true, but, can you sum it up in 15 pages? And
Hmm.
and use the power of itch to get it out in the world and, see if people want to play your game.
Yeah.
And that is a version of, you know, getting it out there.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen more than a couple of game designers use itch for this very purpose that I'm just coming to around to understanding. Again, experience, you know, to look for the minimum viable product, you know, and get the game out in the world and build a community around it. And, if that community says they want a 300-page book, you get them a 300-page book. And if that community
Yeah.
moves on, well, you know, maybe you got a novel in you or something. But this may not be the time for the game.
No, yeah, that's totally fair. I can safely say, as somebody who is always very excited when a designer says, here's the quick start, and I can pull the core or the heart of the game and talk to them about that, I'm always very excited because I get sent a lot of really cool stuff, but I have a lot to do, including reading other people's stuff to get them on the podcast and get things set up. So when I can look at 15 pages and that hits all your base rules, and then I have to go look at a 200-page document, which I'm still excited about that. It just makes it a lot harder to find the heart.
It's a bigger ask.
Yep.
And, the thing that broke my heart was realizing most people will never read that 300-page book.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people want your world, they want your maps, and they may port it all over to, their home group.
Yep. We could say it. They might port it to 5e. Let's be honest.
They might port it to 5e.
One of my goals for this year was to read the TTRPG books I've had, and I've read a lot. And that's a bit of a problem because now there's more games I want to run and in different systems. But it's very tricky. Mo, we're actually starting to run low on time here. So I got two more questions for you. One is a new question for you.
Uh-oh.
I've asked it to a couple returning designers, and it actually has to do with something that I heard a lot from newer creators when they were designing their game, and it has to do with burnout. What advice can you give to creators to help them burning out on their project? Or what are some things that you do to keep yourself either interested in the project or not hating it?
That's a tough one, man. For me, much to my wife's dismay, I have a couple of projects going at a time. And so
Yeah.
I'm often able to, change my pace, change my orientation, change my surrounding, go for a walk, work on another game. Instead of writing prose that's going to be, how to GM, maybe I'm going to do, layout for a card game. And just use a different part of my brain. And, I've gotten to the point where I don't like having loose ends. I always come back. There's some people this is not the best advice for because they find themselves with 100 partially made games. But for me, I'm enthusiastic about just sharing these games. I play them with my family and my in-laws and my friends, and so many people are like, they'll come to me months later and say, whatever happened to that game? And that's a sure sign that you have something. I'm lousy with games right now, so these days, um, it's really about trying to figure out how to get them to the world. And like, I'm not designing so much as I am, trying to talk to distributors and publishers because,
Yeah.
it's like, can we just kind of wipe the slate clean and get some of this stuff out into the world? And, those are working different muscles. But, you know, what are you in it for? I'm having fun, playing at this small part of business that will never pay my bills. Let me also make it clear, you're not going to get rich as a game designer. But
We every time we hear that advice, I love it. Just like I think you said the same thing about Shibuya Nights. Actually,
yeah,
I very very much feel like you said the same thing about Shibuya Nights.
it's a a thing of passion. And if this is something you have a passion for, go play at it. Um, I was saying to one friend of mine who was a little frustrated with, you know, also getting backed up with all their games, game designing is a bit of a game,
Yep.
And if you don't find that game, you should stop because you're not enjoying it. So,
Hmm.
it's what you want, if you want to get your stuff
Yeah.
out to people. There's a level of you got to learn how to market. Well, who wants to do that? I get on Twitter and I am so shy. People talk to me and they're like, "You'd be great on
Yeah.
Twitter," and I'm just like, uh, I don't know when this comment is going to reach you in your day. And listening is such a big part of conversation. Twitter is not a conversation.
Hmm. No.
So
No, I'm in the same boat.
yeah, I don't. I think I answered your question. Just
I do too. Have different projects or exercise different parts of your brain.
yes. I think the latter is probably the better, more
The better advice. Yeah,
responsible,
I agree.
more responsible answer.
It reminds me, I talked to an author friend of mine, and he was like, I used to start a new book when I would get stuck. And it's like, I have like 40
Yeah.
separate books
Yeah.
that are 4 chapters deep, and that's it.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And I think for writers it's different because you can that stuff is still useful. And for a game designer, I have pieces of games that I'm like, ooh, that'll work really well over here. And
mhm.
that's the benefit of actually writing down those wayward ideas. But long as you're not too precious about finishing everything, you can do that.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's great advice. Last question. Mo, where can people find out more about you and your projects?
You can find out more about me and my projects at ashyfeet.com. That's ASHYFEET.com. People are like, why do you pick that? I'm like, well, it's memorable. If I told somebody my website walking down the street, if they remembered me, they will definitely remember the website because they're like, that's not what I would have expected. Yeah, okay. I use lotion on my feet. I do. But
I don't even have a response to that, man.
hey, people want to know.
That's fair.
People want to know. But yeah, you could find more and more of my gaming stuff going up there. And as things are coming out and the Kickstarters are getting started, you're gonna find more of my more games and hopefully other projects coming up soon.
As always, audience, those links are going to be down in the description down below. Mo, thank you so much for joining me once again. I had an absolute great time talking to you, and it's always a pleasure. So
Thank you, Zach. I enjoy your podcast. I'm really flattered to be in amongst like the amazing people you have interviewed, and I just want to thank you and let you know you're doing like great work. I feel like you've gotten way like it was a good podcast. You've gotten way smoother on the mic, and I'm like, Good for you, man. It's great to see your star rising.
Thank you. It only took 5 months of voice acting lessons.
Hey, you put the work in, and it's showing.
Well, thank you so much again, Mo. And audience, thank you so much for listening. Mo and more of his projects are launching soon. Shibuya Nights has already launched. Go pick that one up. And come and tell us what you're doing, because we love to hear from you. Go check out these games. And as they come out, I'll let you know so you can go get Bullet and a Blank, because I love this game. It's incredible. Until then, though, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much to Mo for joining me on the show this week. I can safely say that Mo is an incredible person to work with, and I'll be making a bit more of an announcement about that in the future, but can't quite yet. Shh, secrets and all that. Mo isn't currently funding Bullet in a Blank, but we do have some inside info that him and his friend are getting ready to launch Switchosaurus, which also sounds like an adorably fun time for the younger crowd. I'll be sure to keep you all informed as that game gets announced and Bullet in a Blank gets ready to go live for production. And thank you so much for listening, audience. You have all been super supportive and especially great lately. We've grown quite a bit. It's kind of surprising, but thank you for that. I just wanted to take a quick moment to remind you that next week will be the last week of Pokemon the Maple League over on Live from the Apocalypse. You can catch that on Wednesday, September 21st at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you like the show and you want to hear more, though, why not share it with a friend or recommend us to a creator that you think may want to show off their work? Word of mouth is the only way we grow around here, and without your support, we really don't get anywhere. That's all from me this week, though. Take care of yourselves, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye!